In this video, we'll talk again about things from the under review tab. That is, things that the developers will add someday, but perhaps in some modified form. Let's start with the birds. The last bird I remember was a parrot. It mostly exists just for the ambient and doesn't have any useful functionality. The player suggests many more similar birds such as cardinal teeth, blue jays, and hummingbirds. He didn't come up with any use for them. What can we say? It's logical that birds will be added to the game someday, because at least we have ostriches ready. But let's still look at the birds that the player suggested. All of them weren't very suitable for Minecraft if they aren't added to the game correctly. In addition, the developers should come up with use for them, so that these birds don't exist for beauty like the same polar bears. Most likely, Mojang will make a new biome in the drop and add these birds in the add-on. The next idea is to add heads is absolutely all mobs. I don't know what kind of maniac wrote this, but this idea is cool. There are only 6 types in the game. This is of course cool, but why not add even more? This will complement the deco and won't affect the usability for other heads. In addition to the fact that the player suggested making each head its own method of extraction, he suggested adding new methods to the old ones. This point is for those who don't believe that the developers use things from the under review tab, since in 119 skeleton skulls are generated in the Warden dungeon. That is, this is new method of extraction that the player wrote about. This idea in fact hasn't been fully added anywhere. This is what I'm trying to say. The idea can forever be on the under review tab, but at the same time the developers can add part of it. An interesting mechanic not particularly related to the gameplay is the ability to turn off autosave and run without them. This is necessary so that the player can easily, calmly, peacefully, without unnecessary movements, blow up his village to hell. Yes, the whole point is that the player having turned off saving would simply do what he wanted. Turn on cheats, wreck his own buildings, in general do complete nonsense, but without losses. In principle it's logical, the game of course needs this, but in such a way that you don't accidentally forget to turn off autosave, and then suffer from the fact that your project rolled back 1 million hours. The best solution would be to make it so every time you enter the game, you would need to press this disable button, regardless of whether you pressed it before or not. The structures need a redesign. The player wrote about this after the release 130. He noticed that the villages, desert pyramids, and Hell Fortress look very boring. With the villages, everything is clear. They have been updated and only fortresses and jungle pyramid remain. As far as I remember, Corey, who made the crafter in 121, once said that the fortress would be updated. Only the pyramid remains, and for some reason a desert one. Either everyone already don't care about the jungle so much that I'm the only one who remember it, or it simply doesn't need an update in the player opinion. So yes, it's worth updating, especially the fortress, which looks monotonous. But in general, in 116 they added a bunch of blocks that would be suitable. In general, we're waiting for the developers to update all this. And this idea was invented for a specific mob, the pillager. The point is that it needs to be given a chance to spawn fire rocks instead of arrows, and on top of that, after defeating a raid, he should shoot fire rocks into the air in the form of a black mark, like in Harry Potter. For the second part in a row, we've been talking about an idea related to Harry Potter. He haunts me, I thought I haven't even watched it. Let's get back to the idea. Everything is cool. It seems to me that this should have been added earlier. On top of that, by the way, the person also suggested making an exclusive rocket for him, so that there would be some kind of reward for his defeat. As always, we'll like it and wait for the new rocket. The idea here is simple. Add aquariums with fish swimming in them. It's cool, it's necessary. The only replacement for this thing at this moment is this mechanism, but it's hard to call it an aquarium. Well, of course, how could we do without redstone? The idea is to add the ability for redstone to be conducted along walls. So let's just say that the idea is stupid, and in this form it will never be added. Most likely the developers will go further and make a block or something like that that can conduct a signal along walls. Naturally, they will do in such a way that no old mechanics are spoiled. But in general, personally, as the person who understands the redstone better than anyone else in this planet, I don't see much use for such mechanic, since it can be implemented. It just won't be exactly a redstone along a wall. In the next idea, the player wants to suggest adding new types of trees and shrubs, but you can find out about it in the first part of the ideas under consideration. Well, for now, bye.